Hello, Namaste. Yeah, again, I'm back with the Module 2 Constitution of India, Professional Ethics and Cyber Law. The Module 2 is all about the Union Executive and State Executive. See, federal form of government. What do you mean by the federation form of government? The federation is the system of governance wherein central and state governance exist and share of powers between them, as we have the center as well as the state. This is what we mean by the federal form of government. As stated by Dicey, the federalism is a national constitution for a body of states which desire union and do not desire unity. That's how we say the India is a country that is with the unity in diversity. Okay. It is, in according to him, a political contrivance intended to reconcile national unity and power with the maintenance of state rights. In federation, on the matters connected with national importance, the central government can make laws. For example, it can take the laws over defense, currency, and any sort of agreement or treaties, etc. In respect matters of local importance, the units, that is the state governments, can make a few other laws. That's how you see most of the times the state government as well as the central government have a different versions of laws which can control or govern the people in their respective area. This may include a law and order, kind of the irrigation, maybe pricing. The federation stands for non-centralization of powers and not for decentralization. America is a well-known federation wherein states and center have their own constitutions, and it operates that none of the government is subordinate or subservient to center. Indian Federation operates as more or less as a sisterhood of states, wherein the constitution itself creates the element of cooperative federalism. Indian constitution, due to historical reasons, has conceded more powers to the central government. Therefore, the constitutional jurist, say that is the Kenneth Clinton, where describes the Indian constitution as quasi-federal constitution. The essential requirements of a federal constitutions are: there shall be written constitution that ensures next distributions of power between the central and state governments. There shall be distribution of power that leads to smooth running of administration of the state. There shall be presence of Supreme Court if there is an impartial arbitrator to adjudicate disputes between the center and the states. The amendment of the constitution should be difficult if there is any easy or flexible process of amendment of the constitution. There would be danger of center encroaching the powers of the states. Therefore, amendment of the constitution should be a difficult process. Moving on to the center state relationship. Center state relationship is based on the legislative relations and administrative relations. So let me brief about on the legislative relations. The legislative relation means distribution of law, making of power between central and state governments. Indian constitution envisages two types of distributions of legislative functions, that is territorial and subject matters. Article 246 of the constitution lays down that the central and state legislature can make laws enumerated on 7th schedule of the constitution, which consists of three lists as follows. First one is a union list, which consists of 97 subjects, and only central government can alone make laws on items found in the list. Second one is state list in which we find 66 subjects where only state legislature can make laws. The last one is the concurrent list in which we have 47 subjects wherein both central and state legislatures can make the. We will see something about the administrative relations. What are these administrative relations? It is a center-state relations between the government at each level. The Constitution prescribes these administrative relations as the Union can give direction to the state, referring to Article 256. These directions may be for realizing certain things like implementation of welfare of legislations, or there can be specific directions for the maintenance of or means of communication such as railways or any sort of transportation, etc. The center can delegate certain union functions to the states for the enforcement of central laws. This delegation can be done with or without the consent of any states. In India, all the Indian services to promote better coordination and implementation of policies of the government. Grant in aid can be given to the states as the financial sources of the state are not so strong. Full faith and credit clause, which makes if obligatory that all public records, judgments of courts shall be respected throughout the territory in India. So, what are the financial relationship we have? The Constitution promotes sharing of resources between the state and the central governments. Under that, the first one is no tax be levied or collected except by authority of law, supported by Article number 265. This means tax cannot be laid by the government unless through a legislation permitting the same. Referring to the Article number 268, the Union has the exclusive right to taxes mentioned in the Union list, and the states have the same under the items mentioned in the state list. Okay, and third one is the Constitution also lays down principles by which taxes are collected by the center can be wholly or partially assigned to the states. Next one, the Constitution also envisages three types of grant in aid to states from the Union resources. Last one is the Constitution in 121 Amendment 2016, which has introduced a good and service tax, that is nothing but the GST. See, what is the center state cooperation? The center and state cooperation can be established by interstate council, that is supported by 263 article, and all India services and the delegated legislation. Okay, so let us move on to the parliamentary form of government. As we all know that India is having a parliamentary form of government. Okay, India has adopted the bicameralism, that is meaning about the legislature having two houses, that is nothing but the system of parliament in which we have council of states, that is Rajya Sabha, and house of people called Lok Sabha. Okay, so let us know something about what is Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha is the upper house of the Union Parliament. Strength of the Rajya Sabha is fixed to 250, where 12 nominated by President and remaining members from the state and union territories. The 12 members are having the special knowledge or practical experience in literature, science, arts, social services, and these do not have the right to elect the president. The unique thing is that the member should not be less than 30 years of age. The Vice President of India shall be the ex officio and the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha is a permanent body and the members are elected for six years rather than the member of parliament. It only was for 5 years. In this case, it is 6 years. And there must be one third of members retire every 2 years. Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha have same powers except for money bill. It also acts as the house to revise the acts of Lok Sabha and protects the interests of the state. Let us move on to the Lok Sabha, know something about that. This is called a popular house or a lower house. Member of Lok Sabha are directly elected by the people. Strength of the Lok Sabha is 552 as on today, in which 530 members are elected by voters from various states and 20 are elected from union territories plus 2 members from Anglo-Indian community. Following are the qualifications for membership of Lok Sabha. He must be a citizen of India. He must be less than 25 years of age. His name must be registered as a voter in any of the parliamentary constituency. The members of Lok Sabha may be disqualified for continuing the member if holds office of profit, if he is of unsound mind and as declared by a competent of cost, if he is undischarged insolvent, has acquired voluntary citizenship of foreign country, disqualified under any law made by the parliament, disqualified under the grounds of. Let's see the president. Our constitution establishes parliamentary form of government consisting of president, prime minister and council of ministers. The government is led by the president. Article 52 says that there shall be a president of India. All executive powers shall be vested with the president who shall exercise the same through officers subordinate to him. That means there shall be council of minister who have to aid and advise and there shall be civil servants to carry on day-to-day administration. The constitution prescribes the qualification for the president which are as follows. He should be a citizen of India. He must have completed 35 years of age. He must have registered as a voter in any of the parliamentary constituencies. He shall not hold office of profit under central or state or even local and other any authority. The president in India shall be indirectly elected through an electoral college consisting of the elected members both houses of parliament, the elected members of legislative assemblies of each states. The constitution has given many powers to the president. Let us see what are those powers which are given to the president. The entire nation's administration is carried in the name of the president who appoints the constitutional functionaries such as council of ministers, judges of high court and supreme court, governors of states, members of union public service commission, chairman and members of commission on SC and ST, the controller and auditor general of India. He is the chief commander of armed forces and he sends and receives ambassador and other diplomatic agents. He calls for sessions of legislature and prorogue, prorogue the or dissolve the Lok Sabha. All bills originated from Houses of Parliament needs his signature before becoming the law of the land. If there is any urgent need to make a laws in the absence of Lok Sabha sessions, he can issue ordinance. Nothing but is a hukum or it's kind of a command. The most important judicial power vested with the president is the grant of pardon, reprieves, respites, or the remission of the communication sentence. You have seen that the recent case, Nirbhaya case, the victims were pleading the president for pardon, but finally president did not pardon. So finally all the 4 convicts have been hanged. The president also vested with emergency powers under Article 352. national emergency, 350 state emergency, and 360 financial emergency. As we all know that the president is supported by the Council of Ministers. The Union Cabinet with the Council of Ministers and Prime Minister plays a crucial role in carrying on day-to-day administration. Under the Article 74, it is stated that there shall be Council of Ministers with the Prime Minister to aid and advise the President. Council of Members is the choice of Prime Minister. The strength of Council members shall not exceed 15% of the total number of members in Lok Sabha. It consists of ministers of cabinet rank, ministers of state and deputy ministers. The council members shall be collectively responsible to houses of people. That means there shall be individual and collective responsibility for the decisions taken by the ministers, and they are the crucial body which evolves major political reasons. The Council of Ministers shall be collectively responsible for houses of people. These ministers who do not support the decisions of the cabinet can tender his resignation anytime. If the ministry loses the confidence in the parliament, entire ministry is required to tender the resignation. For the duty relating to one's own self, the individual ministers accountable and answerable. The Prime Minister is required to communicate President the decisions taken by the Parliament. The ministry that has lost confidence can be dismissed by the President. Let's see what is called the parliamentary committees. For the smooth conduct of various work of the Parliament has constituted many committees. It is appointed or elected by the House or nominated by the Speaker. There may be permanent committees known as a standing committee or ad hoc committees which are appointed for a specific purpose. The various standing committees of the Parliament are mentioned below. Committee on Public Accounts, Estimate Committee, Committee on Public Undertakings, Business Advisory Committee, Committee on Private Members, Bill and Resolutions, Committee on Government Assurances, Committee on Subordinate Legislation, Committee on Welfare of SC and STs, Committee on Privileges, Committee on Petitions, Joint Committee on Salaries and Allowances to Members, Committee on Empowerment of Women, Joint Committee on Office of Profit, General Purpose Committee, Rules Committee. Yeah, next moving on to the Union and State Judiciary. In every democratic country, the judiciary plays a very crucial role. The judiciary has been designated as the guardian of the constitution. Okay, a vibrant judicial system ensures that no organ of the government oversteps its limits and encroaches the power assigned to other gains under the constitution. An active judicial system also protects the fundamental rights. The most inalienable freedoms given under the constitution to the citizens. Indian constitution provides exhaustive provisions for judiciary. It is contained in Article 127 to 147 of the constitution. The appointment of the judges plays a key role in the independence of judges. The eligibility to become the judge of Supreme Court, he must have been the judge of High Court for at least 5 years or must have 10 years experience of practice of law in High Court or should be an eminent jurist. At present, there are 31 judges in Supreme Court including the Chief Justice of India. The Judges Inquiry Act 1968 deals with the procedure for holding the inquiry. The Supreme Court has vested the following jurisdiction. A court recorded, that is nothing but having a court of record, Article 129, original jurisdiction, that is Article 131, appellate jurisdiction, Article 132, appealing special leave petitions, that is Article 136, and advisory jurisdiction, Article 1. The judges, the judges of High Court after retirement cannot practice any courts except before Supreme Court and other High Courts. The powers of High Courts are the High Courts are also designated as High Court of Record, General Jurisdiction, Writ Jurisdiction, that is Article 226. Article 50 of the Constitution says that the judiciary shall be separated from other wings of governance. Following are the important elements for an independent judiciary. Judges' tenure shall be fixed. Salary of the judges shall not be subjected to vote of legislature. Jurisdiction of court can be enhanced but shall not be curtailed or reduced. There shall not be discussion about the judicial conduct of judges inside the legislature. Judiciary shall have contempt jurisdiction for making its order to be obeyed by all. Judges shall not practice before the courts after their retirement. Move on to the judicial activism. In India, judiciary is playing a very crucial role in the enforcement of fundamental rights. According to the traditional classification, each organ of the government shall not interfere with the working of other organs of the government. However, the judiciary has been a sort of the lethargy on the part of the parliament and government in assuring minimum basic freedoms to the society at large. Therefore, judiciary began to play an active role. The dynamic interpretation of public interest litigation, in which the courts entertained letters, petitions written by the general public, bringing out lapses on the part of administration, and began to make officials accountable for such lapses. The issue may be related to lack of maintenance, drainage systems, prisoners' rights, bonded laborers, workers, conditions of factories, protection of ecology, free legal aid, etc. Some important cases of the judicial activism are Husainara Khatun versus the state of Bihar. Speedy trial is needed for under trial prisoners languishing in jails. Sunita Batra versus Delhi administration. Issued, orders issued against inhuman treatment in the prisons. Lakshmikant Pandey versus Union of India. Guidelines are issued with respect to transnational adoption. MC Mehta versus Union of India. In series of cases held the need of protection of Ganga River, shifting hazardous industries operating in Delhi, noise pollution, child labor problem, etc. Premanand Katara versus Union of India. Right to make medical aid and fundamental right. Delhi Domestic Women's Forum versus Union of India at Vaishak in state of Rajasthan. Protection of rape victims, preventions of sexual harassment at workplaces. So, state legislature and executive. What do you mean by state legislature and executive? What is the state legislature? The Indian Constitution follows federal principles. The federation consists of central government at one level and state governments at another level. The state legislature consists of two houses, Legislative Assembly, that is Vidhan Sabha and Vidhana Parishad. The upper house of the state legislature is known as the Legislative Council or the Vidhana Parishad. It is not compulsory that every state need to have a legislature council. Only few states such as Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh have the legislative councils. The Legislative Council shall be a permanent body with one third of members retiring every 2 years. The qualifications to become a member of Legislative Council: that person shall be above 30 years of age, must be the citizen of India, and must not hold office of profit. Let us see what are the powers of legislature. The quoted powers of legislatures are passing of ordinary, that is, it is passing of simple legislation under Article 201. Under few circumstances, bills passed by both houses of legislature can be reserved by the governor for the consideration of the president. Money bills, it can originate only from the legislative assembly, and legislative council doesn't have much role in it. And we'll see what the term governor is all about. The state executive is headed by the governor, who shall exercise his powers either directly or through officers subordinate to him. The governor is appointed by the president. The governor holds office for the period of 5 years. The eligibility to become the governor is that he shall be over 35 years of age and shall not be appointed for more than two states. The governor is vested with the executive powers, and he is assisted by the chief minister and council of ministers. The governor has financial powers, legislative powers, and pardoning powers. The governor has discretionary power under the constitution, whereby he can invite the leader of majority of the party or leader of the coalition party to become chief minister, as well as to dismiss the ministry when it loses the confidence in state legislative assembly. There are certain the special provisions which are given. So these special provisions are like Article 369 to 392, which deals with some of the transitional and the temporary provisions under the Constitution. Article 370, temporary provisions dealing with the state of Jammu Kashmir, which is now you are known well about that, because we have removed the parliament. The parliamentary affair has removed the Article 370 from the Constitution. Over the years, many number of provisions of the Constitution have been extended to Jammu and Kashmir, such as the jurisdiction of Supreme Court, imposition of the President rule, provision of Election Commission, etc. The government brings resolution to repeal Article of 370 of the Constitution through J&K reorganization bill in 2019, which repeated the provision under the article. So with this I conclude the module 2. It is union executive and state executive, which has briefly said something about the form of the federal government, and we have come across the center state relations, wherein we have seen the legislative relationship, administrative relations, then the financial relations, parliamentary form of government, under which we have studied the Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha, and we have come across the president, what are his powers, and we also learned about the Council of Ministers, what are parliamentary committees which come across, union and the state judiciary, and how these things are connected with respect to the jurisdictions. And finally, we move on to the judicial activism and many number of cases, which is the in detail said about the judicial activism. And we have come across the state legislature and the executive, and we have studied the state legislature and the powers of governor, and finally we have ended this module with the special provisions. Thank you for patience hearing. Thank you.